Shanti, and good morning to everyone.
Shanti, good morning, brother.
Shanti Lynette Ben, Shanti Ambika Ben, how are you?
Good.
Good. Great to see you. Good morning, Judy Ben. Good morning, Shayla Ben. Good morning, Mala Ben. Hope everyone is well.
Good morning. Good morning.
Shanti.
Good morning, Brother Shannon.
Shanti, good morning. Welcome to you all. I hope you've had a good week. And last week, several of you raised the point about 8 hours remembrance, building our chart. So we're going to focus today's topic on that. For those of you watching later on the YouTube channel, welcome to you, and hope you're all well wherever you are, and happy Diwali to all of you also. My name is Shaylan, and I'm a student of the London Centre in the UK. So great that you could be with us. And my mother will join us a little bit later to read a morally, which is one of her favorites, and it's very, very direct on this topic of how we should build our chart during the very practical morally. But before we do that, if anyone wants to say anything or ask anything about anything within the moralies or within your own self-progress, please feel free to begin by doing that.
One of the things I was recently contemplating on at the beginning of Golden Age, when the coronation takes place, Baba said that we start with the 900,000. There's going to be one kingdom. My question is, or just need a clarification, the disbursement of that 900,000, how does that take place? As far as where the kingdoms, the other outside the palaces, outside the palace. But, I wondered how that disbursement is within the beginning of Golden Age.
Would you like to begin by sharing your ideas?
Well, I am thinking, yes, there's one. Baba often says one kingdom. Within that kingdom, they're also going to be who will be close, and they will be within the palace walls. And then there will be others outside. And I don't know if they will be considered subjects who are outside of the palace walls. And they will also have their subjects. So whether or not there are smaller palaces, if they're to be considered palaces, and how much is going to be within the walls of the kingdom. I'm not sure, but I'm seeing there'll be many different homes outside. Everybody, yes, will be in the full stage. Happiness is there, everything, and they'll be full to their degree. But I'm not clear with the numbers outside. Who will be outside of that in the 900,000?
Yeah. I'm not sure Baba's been very specific on that. Would anyone else like to share their ideas before I give some thoughts? I don't know if other people have had a thought about it. Maybe they've not thought about it before.
I'm thinking that for all these kingdoms to be established, a lot of the advanced parties or the advanced souls must have taken birth. And they would have taken birth in palaces, in kingdoms, and then multiply according to the time. They will come. Not everyone will come at the beginning. They will come like a quarter way off, halfway off, progress will happen accordingly. But there will be very, very few at the very beginning to establish or to have growth happen. And that's my feeling about it. Shanti.
Yeah, thank you. That makes sense as well. Would anyone else like to share any thoughts? Okay, maybe you can think about it. You might not have thought about it before, so it's difficult to just spontaneously give ideas. I have thought about this quite a lot, actually. And but I have to qualify everything I'm about to say with, I don't have necessarily morally points to base it on everything. So I'm pulling together some ideas. So I've got to qualify that. I wouldn't take everything I'm about to say to be absolutely right. Some things I tell you, I got really clear. Most things, actually, I got really clear morally basis for it. But there are some parts of Baba's knowledge which he seems to have left deliberately open for us to churn, maybe. Or maybe, like he says in the Morales, he doesn't tell us everything at once, gradually. So, we might learn later on. We don't know how Baba's planning his teaching. No one in Brahma Baba's days thought that there'd be all these Abhyak Morales. Never occurred to anyone. So we don't know how much more Baba's going to tell us. So according to my current understanding, my view of this whole transition is similar to what Lynette Ben is saying, is that it's already begun. So we've got souls going into this advanced party role. Now, Shiv Baba's task is very, very unlimited. He was mentioning to us two concepts today. He was saying to us, in the West, you will know of this story as Aladdin. This is how we pronounce it in the West. Maybe some of you have seen that sort of play. I think it's a very popular children's pantomime type of play. But the correct pronunciation is Aladdin. Aladdin. It's not Aladdin. It's Aladdin. And in fact, it should be written a little bit longer. Allah Aval-Din. So Allah, means God. And the word Aval means first. Aval. U-V-U-L. Aval. And Deen, D-E-E-N with a soft D, that means religion. Shaila Ben, am I correct in that? Shaila Ben is our expert Hindi speaker here. Does that sound right to you, Shaila Ben?
Yes.
Yeah, does that sound okay?
Yep. I'm
Do you
sure
want to?
Ranjan
Yeah.
Ben might know more.
Yes, I'm pretty sure. But just in case, come in anytime you feel you want to add anything, Shaila Ben. So he mentioned it today. No, it doesn't occur to anyone that Shiv Baba is a religious father. Like that, we don't think about that in that way in Bhakti. And then Shiv Baba was adding something. He said there's a difference between him and the other religious fathers. Do you all remember the difference that he mentioned this morning? He mentions it a few times, and he's mentioned it many times in many mornings. Can anyone think? So we got many religious fathers. Baba mentioned some of the main ones. They all establish religion, but what's the difference between Shiv Baba and the others? Can anyone remember?
Shiv Baba is the Supreme Father, the liberator, the Guru. The others will not be able to liberate souls. Only
That's
Shiv
right.
Baba that purifies souls.
He does, yes. He does mention that point. He says that this is the difference. You can't call it the other religious fathers gurus for that reason. That's right. And in terms of establishment, there's one more thing. It was in today's Murli, so it was part of his theme today.
Just come.
Yep. So Baba says, I also established the kingdom. No other religious father establishes the kingdom. The kingdom in the other religions comes about after they've expanded. So it usually takes 200 or 300 years. And it's often not the religious father directly that establishes the kingdom. So we're gaining some insight here. In one side, you've got all of you, the BKs. You are part of God's Avaldeen. You are Allah's Avaldeen. Yeah, you are the first religion, this religion of purity. You are learning basically purity within action, within relations. And that's the basis for the pure family path. So Shiv Baba establishes the religion, but he also establishes the kingdom. And on one side, that means that he is teaching you how to accumulate for the future. We had the morally on self-sovereignty 2 Sundays ago, and he's always very clear that you have to establish self-sovereignty now, and then that gets reflected in your status in the golden and silver age. The other part of establishing a kingdom is a much more pragmatic one, very practical. It really does mean establishing a kingdom, really does mean creating a kingdom. So Baba says that you have to bring everything together in order to establish a kingdom, because he is establishing a kingdom over the entire world. He's not just establishing it in one place of the world. So he was remembering Christ yesterday, and in other moralies, Baba talks about this connection between Christ and Krishna. And if you use the Latin word, it's Christo and Krishna. And the names are very similar. Many of the devotees pick up on this as well, this similarity. And Baba says that these two religions get the closest. So the Christian religion gets the closest to the deity religion of establishing a kingdom over the world. So the European colonialists, they went right around the world. But he says it's fixed in the drama that when you use physical power to establish a kingdom, there's never unity. So the Christian powers, they're never unified. And throughout the colonial era, most of the wars were between them, weren't they? It wasn't even with the indigenous people so much. It was more they were fighting with each other. And then in the 20th century, after the Second World War, it was this settlement, wasn't there, mainly between the USSR, Russia, and America. So we have had this world carved up, and Baba says it's just not in the drama that these two could unify. If they could unify, then they could rule over the whole world. They have that power. They've got most of the bombs, of course. But once you use physical power to establish kingdoms, then you've used violence, haven't you? You've used the imprints of violence, and your foundation is that. Your foundation is greed and corruption. So your seed is very, very mixed. What sort of tree will emerge? It will not be the tree of unity, of harmony. It's just not possible. So Baba says that we're basically living in this world at the moment that the Christians have shaped. This clan has shaped our geography, our politics. You look at our political systems, you look at our economic systems, you look at the clothes we wear and things. So when the British had their empire as probably the predominant empire in the world, people used to dress like British gentlemen, didn't they? That was like that perception. Then when America became the superpower, everyone's walking around in jeans and a t-shirt. It's like, well, you just get influenced by whoever's in power more. The cultures and the values of that country spread. So Baba says that there's a connection between this handover. It's within the drama that the Christian religion is predominant when it's time for things to be handing up back around again. So what Shiv Baba does, he begins to concentrate power back into Bharat. So his incarnation into Bharat begins to switch things around. So you have how it works in the drama is new souls continue to come down through the drama, throughout the cycle. And wherever you have a concentration of new souls, that country flourishes. As a boy, I used to enjoy playing some computer games. And one of my favorite computer games was called Sid Meier's Civilization. It's a strategy-based game. And you start off as a caveman, and you've got to go through thousands of years of history, building your civilization. And in this game, if you increased your economy and productivity and things, you could get a special person born into your kingdom. For example, if Leonardo da Vinci got born in your kingdom, your arts would flourish. So your civilization would become dominant in that. If you got an economist, your economy, like that. And so the makers of that game, they picked up on this principle that where a new soul comes, they begin to really make a kingdom flourish. So Sister Sudesh used to say that if you look at the sun, it rises in the east and it sets in the west. And so this cycle sort of works like that. And we've seen in the last 100 or 200 years, the concentration of new souls in Europe and North America. So, I mean, look, what was America? America, there wasn't really much there even 150 years ago. And suddenly there's big concentration, lots of new souls coming into North America, turned it into this superpower. So we've got to look at where the drama is at. But then Shiv Baba incarnates back again in the East, back again into Bharat. And he's the most powerful and pure soul of all. And what he does is he says, with the deity souls, it's a bit different. In his religion, it's a bit different. Because in the with the other religious founders, they're like a gatekeeper. So they leave the soul world, and the souls belonging to their religion continue to come down. So those religions expand because so many new souls are coming down from the soul world that belong to that religion. If you look at the spread of Islam, for example, within 150 years, they had a kingdom from Spain to India. Isn't that amazing? I mean, just suddenly, there was no Islam, and then suddenly they were ruling a huge swathe of the world. So that's because so many new souls have come. Now, according to when souls come in the drama, their values will be different sets of sanskars. So it's not that a new soul coming in the Iron Age is complete with all virtues, completely viceless. No, these are your sanskars of the Golden Age. So those souls might come down and be very good at violence. They might be very good at corruption. They might be very good at something else. They will succeed in the environment in which they are like seeds being planted into that current environment. So what we've seen over this last couple of 100 years is really, say 300 years really, the Christian countries shaping our globe. And we are now in that world. So you'll recall a few Sundays ago, it was in that self-sovereignty morally, where Baba was talking about three powers that really shape the world. You've got the power of politics, the power of religion, and the power of science. And the Christian countries really dominate these three, don't they? Even if you could look at the vaccine, COVID vaccine, as a case study. Who developed those vaccines? Where did they come from? Where is the concentration of the wealth? Where's the concentration of those universities, those research facilities? These things cost billions, don't they? So where are they going to be developed? And then you look at actually who captured the technology, who controls the technology. We've got so many poorer places in the world. Maybe they still haven't got access, I don't know. But it was like a case study. Where is the power? Where is the science? Where is the political power? The Western powers, they shaped the UN, didn't they? So they say, well, we'll go and talk to the UN and get a man. But you created it, and you're the people who sit on the Security Council. So, you know, it's a world, the political power, the scientific power, it's being held within these countries. So one of the stories around the birth of Christ is of the three wise kings coming from the east. And I'd played the angel Gabriel in my school nativity. So back in the day, this is why I know quite a lot about Christianity. It was part of our elementary school culture. And I remember those scenes, you know, of these three wise kings coming to meet the baby Jesus. And Baba explains to us, you know, all of these things are symbolic because actually the soul of Christ comes later when Jesus is older and he begins teaching. And certainly in the Bible as well, he's about the age of 24 when he begins teaching. So that fits. But these are symbols. So these three wise kings, the power of religion, of politics, of science, coming from the east, coming towards the west, coming towards Christ, is symbolic. And Baba says that the pure virgin birth is going to be of Krishna. And so these three wise kings that have gone west, they've got to come back east again. So this is a cycle. And power starts off in the east, the sun rises in the east. It sets in the west. So at this time, when the sun is to set, when it's the end of the cycle, then these three exist. And so Baba says there's a connection between the clan of Krishna and the clan of Christ. And India has got a very deep connection through colonialism, you know, with these Christian countries. Anyway, mostly with UK, but actually most of the European countries have ruled some parts of India. And then probably now, India's strongest connection is with America, probably. Got very deep connections with countries like America and Australia. So you can see how, and also Russia too, the fathers of the independence movement in India, they connected capitalism with colonialism, and not necessarily wrong about that. So their inclination was to go more towards communism. So India has always had this very deep connection with Russia as well. So if you look, India, very deep connections with America, with Europe, with Russia. And so Baba is saying that there is this connection between the two clans. And at this time, Shri Baba is already incarnated into Bharat. So he's gathering these energies. And then who are the seeds of Golden Age India? It's Vishnu, the souls of Vishnu. So they take the full 84 births. Now, both Mama and Baba have become karmatic already. So Baba says, in my religion, it's not that the souls come from the soul world, but you're already here. So it's actually a process of purification for you, soul. And souls like Mama and Baba, the main ones, they've reached back to their Satopradhan stage decades ago now. And then we've witnessed through our own eyes how souls who are part of the 8 jewels like Daddy Janki, like Daddy Gulzam, like Daddy Prakashmani, they've gone back to their Satapradhan stage as well. Then Baba was remembering the 108 this morning. So many souls actually, even if they're not completely in their perfect stage, they're pretty close probably. Most of them, and many have accumulated a great deal. So as the number of the Brahmin souls continues to increase, it's the equivalent of many new souls from the soul world coming in to a particular country. So you are the souls of the original Bharat. You are the seeds of the golden age. You are the original Bharatwasi. Whatever bodies and cultures we're in at the end of the cycle, Baba tells us, you are the ones who were there in the golden age. In fact, there was no other country anyway at that time. So as you practice your yoga, you're actually taking yourself back to that original purity and also gathering back these great authorities back to India. And as more Brahmin souls go into the advanced party, I think they'll be spread across these three authorities. So some of the Brahmins will go and become politicians. And isn't it amazing that we're witnessing how Sister Drupadi has become the president of India? To actually have a BK soul there, I would say that's part of the advanced party role. So I presume that soul was a BK in their last life, and they've taken some blessings, accumulated something. And then you can see how they got a balance. We've got many BKs who are judges, different types of politically connected roles. Then we're seeing as well how sannyasi, great religious leaders have come to Madhaba. And some of them even met Baba in the 1980s. We were rereading some of the Murlis from 1983, 84 last year, where it was the opening of Om Shanti Bhavan. And that was important because then Baba had a conference venue where more important people could be invited. And I know that Sister Jayanti feels that possibly some of the religious fathers came at that time, because it was quite a unique time, that Bab Dada was meeting personally. And some of these, so many Brahmins had not met Baba personally. And these were souls that were non-Brahmins meeting. In more recent times, like I think 20, 25 years ago, I remember President Kaunda of Zambia, who was like a former president at that time. He met Baba as well. I remember Baba saying to him that you're a peacemaker. So, there are souls, even if they're not of the BK religion, who have met Baba. And if they're not meeting Baba now, they're going to Baba. They've met the daddies, many of them. And you look, the daddies went to all the continents. So Sister Jayanti often says that she feels there's a significance wherever the 8 jewels put their feet. So her experience was, for example, with North America, Sister Mohini and some other sisters had gone early days to begin service, but not much was happening. Sister Jayanti was in London from 1969, but again, not much was happening in terms of service. But Daddy Janki arriving in London got things going. And Didi Manmohini, I think Daddy Prakashmani went to America in 77. And Didi Manmohini went to America in 1980. And it was after that things got moving. So Daddy Gozal, I think, went to all the continents. Daddy Janki went to all the continents. Daddy Prakashmani went to all the continents. So Sister Jayanti feels that what you're getting is like a gathering of energies. So them going, the political power, religious power, science power has been spread. And what Baba's doing is he's gathering energies back to India, because everyone is now preparing for that king to be born, for the first virgin birth. So these powers have to be gathered, and this is the role of the advanced party. And we read that passage, you remember, from 18th January 1980, where Baba seemed to be suggesting that Mama and Dada Vishwa Kishore might be the parents of Krishna, that they would, it can't just be anyone, like to give a virgin birth and then to give a virgin birth to Sri Krishna. So that would ultimately be religious power, wouldn't it? To be able to give virgin birth. That is victory in terms of religion. No other religion has been able to do that. And so the fact that the power of purity and the power of yoga could do that, he seems to also suggest that those souls are born back at some point into the royal families of India. So within India as well, there's a gathering that the political power went spreading out through the royal families of India. Then it's now a democracy. But you're seeing how there's one morally of the 1980s where Baba says that as time moves forward, one political party will begin to dominate. And that will be a connection that with your revelation. And we've seen in recent decades how the BJP has dominated Indian politics. And also how because they accept Brahma Kumaris as part of the Hindu umbrella, they've got this closer connection. Although I think it was also there with other politicians, but that's part of gathering energy back to Mount Abu, back to the Yagya. And then many scientists, many religious leaders going. I was listening to the experience of Sister Surendra, who Baba sent her in the 1960s when she was about 20 years old to the holy city of Benares to open a center. And she was sharing how initially all the gurus were just, who are you, sort of thing. And so they would write to Brahma Baba to say that, they're just telling us to go away and insulting us. What should we do? And Baba would just write back to say, these gurus will not listen to knowledge. They will listen to your example. So you have to just keep going and meeting them. And there's some moralities where Baba says that you got to learn how to have this, you've got to be able to give knowledge without offending that person. So he gives two examples. He says, you look at Ganesh. Ganesh is shown riding a mouse. So the god of wisdom, the remover of obstacles, the bestower of success. And he's got such a big frame, the head of an elephant, and he's riding a tiny mouse. Because when a mouse bites you, you got no idea, because they blow on you first, then they bite you, and then afterwards you notice the blood. Afterwards you notice that your sack has been ransacked of all its grain, because you didn't even notice how they cut you, how they cut everything. So Baba said that. And then the other example he gives is that you've got to have this ability to be able to judge how to, like a scorpion doesn't waste its sting on a stone. It only stings something where it's useful and it can really have that kill. And then third example he gives is a saying, you got to be able to kill the snake without breaking the stick. So he gives these three examples. So Baba wrote to them to say, doesn't matter if they insult you, you're going to be peaceful, you're going to be cheerful, you're not going to take anything into your heart. And while they're insulting you, share one point of Baba's knowledge. So make sure you're always stinging them a little bit. And so they just kept going. And their gurus were insulting them, telling them that they've never read the scriptures. Why would they be talking about these things? They are a shame upon the Hindu religion. And who are they anyway? These sisters in white clothes, these are Christian missionaries come to convert all the Hindus. This is why they're insulting all of these. This is why they're insulting Krishna and saying that Krishna is not the God. And so there's all of this narratives going on. But Baba, they kept writing back to Baba, and Baba kept saying, keep going. And then after a while, the Guru said, okay, all right, we've insulted you all this time, and we can see there must be something, because you're still staying peaceful, you're still staying cheerful. And actually, you are behaving like a saint, not us. So from now on, one of the great gurus said to the sister, I'm going to call you a saint. And she said, no, Guruji, you are the saint. I'm just your daughter. No, and we would like to hold a program where you come and give a lecture with us. And then everything. And then by the 1980s, actually, they'd built their connections right through that city. And she said she asked Abhyak Babdada that the one thing that's left is no one has come to meet Baba yet in Madhaba. None of the great gurus of this holy city. And Baba said to her that at this time, everyone's ready to come. You're just going to need to blow in their ear and you just watch. They'll just come running to Madhaba. So it was 1985. So after Shanti Bhavan had been built, they've got the venue. And Baba has said, go for it. So the first Shankaracharya came to Madhaba in 1985. There are 4 Shankaracharyas. This is like the Pope coming. So it's a very, very big deal. And she was describing that it was only Panda Bhavan in those days. There weren't the other complexes. And the daddies, Jagdish Bhai was one of the main people organizing all of this. And they had like a canopy of flowers from the entrance gate of Panda Bhavan to the Tower of Peace. And they had rose petals falling on everyone, a red carpet. And the gurus just said, we've never been welcomed like this. And they were clever because they all had to go to Brahma Baba's memorial first, to the Tower of Peace, and stand there and sort of just pay their respects to Brahma. And then they had that convention. And then after that, so Baba's gathering, the power of religion, the power, he's used the sisters as the shield because it's new knowledge. They would never come if this was brothers. When Brahma Baba was around, no one came. they would never come. But with the sisters, they're melting and everyone's coming closer. So I think that this is all part of these 3 wise kings being prepared, gathering back within India, but also within. And as all of you come closer to your karmatic stage, Baba and Drama will send you into these 3 fields to play a role. And you will be gathering energy back again, preparing for the king to be born. That first virgin birth, because Baba says that these are just legends in Bhakti. It's not possible in the Copper and Iron Age for anyone to have a virgin birth. But the religious fathers, they're like Shiv Baba, they don't enter a womb in their first birth. They just come and sit next to another soul in the forehead and begin sharing knowledge. So they're in their karmatit stage. And when a soul shares knowledge in their karmatit stage, it has great impact and it establishes a religion. But then those souls do take rebirth. Shiv Baba does not take rebirth. So there's a big difference there, because he is not just a religious father. He, as Lynette Ben said, is the father of all. He is the supreme father. And so Baba, so I see this whole process happening. And then Baba says that, well, together with his establishment, there's destruction. So the forces of distraction, they're happening. And he says there's a connection. As establishment progresses, he always says that there's a connection between the karmatit stage of the Brahmin children and distraction happening. And I shared with you previously that Baba used to check his radio and joke with the children that he can see as troubles are increasing in the world, means the Brahmins are doing well. If everything becomes peaceful in the world, he thinks the Brahmins are slackening in their yoga because you have to reach your karmatic state. That's, or each of us has an individual responsibility for that. The big task is Shiv Babas, so, and Brahma Babas, so they're going to get on with that. And then as distraction comes closer, we know that Shiv Baba's got to play his final role, which, as Lynette Ben said, is to be the Satguru of all. Only Shiv Baba can take all souls back home. So he doesn't do it multiple times in a cycle. He only opens the gates of the soul world once in the cycle. And even the soul of Adam, Brahma, has to wait. Even he hasn't gone back home. He has to wait also. So that soul will just quickly touch and then come back down. But it must be staggered, which I think is what Ambika Ben is suggesting. There must be a staggered process here, because Baba says not everyone can, otherwise there'd be no civilization down here. There'd be no one to give birth to anyone. And in morally a few weeks ago, Baba was saying, this is why there's a slight difference in age between Krishna and Radha, because Mama's soul, and it's one of my theories, I don't know for sure, again, it's not in the, I can't locate it in a morally, I don't think, but I think there might be a rule that either the soul of Brahma or the soul of Mama must be in this world. There's like, these are the seed souls of the drama. So you've got Shiv Baba the seed, he mainly stays in the soul world. Whereas these two all-round actors, they're always here. Mama and Baba, they're always in this drama. There's like a balancing. Baba said the other day that if the seed just came and took rebirth down here, this drama would like end, because you've got to have some sort of balance with these seeds. Shiv Baba must stay up there and Brahma must stay down here. There's like a rule. And while Brahma is in the subtle region, Mama's had to stay down here. So I think it could be a rule there that actually one of them must be down here. So after Sri Krishna has incarnated, so the soul of Adam has incarnated as Sri Krishna, then Mama could go up. And then she can come straight down again and be born as Sri Radhe. So there's probably a few seconds in the full 84 birth, the full between Brahma and Saraswati. There's probably 1 or 2 seconds difference, because there's like it's like a relay between them in a sense. You know, they pass the baton over. Okay, now Sri Krishna has been born. And in Hinduism, Sri Krishna is unique in the sense that he's depicted as having 2 mothers. There's a mother who gives birth to him, and then a mother who brings him up and looks after him. And so those of you who are from a Hindu background, you'll be aware. And both mothers are praised a great deal. And all mothers want to be like those mothers. They want their child to be like Krishna. So Baba said in the Bhog message a few Thursdays ago from New York, that all children in the Golden Age are Krishna. So all the mothers feel that really practical, because you've got a deity, and how can you do any better? So this process, this switch occurs, but when that first Sri Krishna is born, you can just imagine this way. Baba says that when Shiv Baba incarnates, it's incognito. But when Sri Krishna incarnates, the world is filled with light. And that soul would be a magnet for everything else. In front of that soul, no one would have any other thought. So the powers, the 3 wise kings would return back. So we know it's all going to center around Delhi. Baba's told us that. So I'm assuming that the souls of Mama and Dada Vishwa Kishore will become part of the royal family of Delhi at some point. possibly, we're seeing this in different parts of the world, that democracies, they're becoming unstable. Thing about democracy is you get lots of rapid change. So if you have a monarchy, it's more stable. Obviously, there are downsides of monarchy, downsides of everything, but maybe over time, India also might go more back towards a monarchy, maybe. I don't know. Because Baba's not a fan of democracy. Certainly, he comments on that in the Morally. He's not establishing a democracy, he's establishing a monarchy. And so we've got to also appreciate that in Brahma's last birth, you see, with Mama and Baba, these are the souls of Vishnu. And Vishnu's 84 births are significant. We hear this from Baba, that Vishnu takes 84 births and becomes Brahma and Saraswati. And then Brahma and Saraswati become Vishnu again. Now, Vishnu's 84 births, or each of them, I think are very significant. So if you met Brahma or Saraswati in any of their lives, you're a very fortunate soul. You have met Vishnu in one of their 84 births. And we know from Brahma Baba's story, he met many of the royal families of India. So even if those souls are now not there, like they're taken, because he met them in 19th century or early 20th century, but he stepped foot in many kingdoms. Even Queen Elizabeth's mother had lunch at Brahma Baba's house, so he's got this connection with the British royal family, maybe with others. Calcutta was the capital of the British Empire, so you get high society. It's like living in London or Paris, like in those days. So you got lots of high society people, and then he would visit, particularly Nepal. He had a very close connection there. And so in Vishnu's last birth, seeds have been planted with these royal families. And then they had a retreat in the 1990s. I think it was in Gyan Sarovar for all the royal families of India. And I think 400 attended, as far as I recall. So you can see, and many of them, they sort of recalled that, oh yes, we knew Lucky Raj Babu, the jeweler. Yeah, my grandfather used to talk about, they had that. But what Baba had done, Brahma Baba had done, is he had sent daddies to keep a connection with all his connections in the royal families. So Brahma Baba was very good at networking. That's how he built his business. And so he kept that going with Baba's service, with the imperishable jewels of knowledge, just like he did with the perishable jewels. So he's been, like, Shiv Baba and Brahma Baba have been involved in a very big, Baba says, doesn't he, service is a game. So Baba's been playing this very multi-layered game since the 1930s, working on conscious levels, subconscious levels, but he is gathering everything back. So at the time when Krishna is born, Baba says there are also some souls of other religions, some souls in their old bodies, because it's advanced party souls. Because he says the new civilization has to be constructed. So there'll be engineers, there'll be scientists, there'll be lots of things. I think he said that we live like a global village. So we're kind of centered around Delhi and the rivers around Delhi initially. My understanding is that as Krishna grows up, eventually he reaches an age where him and Sri Radhe are ready to then be married and assume the throne. And by then, I think all of the first kingdom, all 900,000, they will have gone up to the soul world and come down again. So my understanding is by the time, let's call it the first Diwali, the first coronation day, by that time, there will only be 900,000, and it will be the current Brahmins who are studying the Morally every day. It's the soul. Because you need to have been studying the morally, living a life of purity according to Srimad over a period of time to qualify, to have the privilege to see Vishnu, the first Vishnu, through your eyes. So there's some moralies, and Dadi Janki used to take this up in her classes, that, you know, this is the first Lakshmi and Narayan. So even their subjects will be of that quality. Because Baba was remembering the other day, the last Lakshmi and Narayan who hand over to Sita and Ram, I think maybe it was in yesterday's morning, that they hand over to the Moon Dynasty. So the subjects that are part of that last Lakshmi and Narayan's kingdom, they would have more of a mixture in their Brahmin life. So because by then maybe 2 degrees are less, aren't they? 16 to 14 degrees. So those are souls who didn't quite get close to the Karmatit stage. They were less by 2 degrees. But they're still, they've done something great to get into heaven. Then by the end of the Silver Age, well, in the souls coming down in the Silver Age, they never see Lakshmi and Narayan. They just hear of the legends of Lakshmi and Narayan that have gone, at least on the throne anyway. Then by the end of the Silver Age, you've got 12 degrees, haven't you? So they're still very fortunate to come into heaven, still very fortunate to see world Emperor Sita and Ram. I mean, still a great thing. And in Hinduism, the legends of the kingdom of Ram are greater than the kingdom of Lakshmi and Narayan. Like Baba refers to how Mahatma Gandhi used to say, we want Ram Raja back again, we want the kingdom of Ram back again. So I think a lot of the early Hindus, they sort of caught the end of the Silver Age. It's like, it's still quite close. So I think by the end of the Silver Age, you've got quite a lot of expansion. Baba says there's basically one son, one daughter for a while. So it's not expanding quickly. But my understanding is we start off at 900,000 and then it's only like one child. It's like it's expanding quite quickly. But I think initially the 16,000, there have been some moralies where Baba has said that if you live in a center now, but you don't make your full effort in yoga, you're going to end up serving the kings. But because you've got the karma of living in a center, you might live in a palace. You're living in the palace. And, you know, like we saw with Queen Elizabeth's funeral, like the people who were living and organizing things within the palace, they're like really important people as well, like their secretaries and they feel like really very important. So you get people who are like looking after daddies, or, you know, they'll be there in the future looking after the emperors again. They still feel very royal and this like the queens, like they might wear their saris once and pass on to the people around them. It's like their inner, and so they're actually wearing the clothes as well of the kings and queens. They're eating the food that the kings and queens. There's a karmic account. And then we had that comment a couple of weeks ago where probably someone asked Baba that I'm not sure I got the courage to make the effort to become a king or a queen, but I don't want to just serve others. I want to have my own dignity. How do I become a royal subject? And Baba said, well, you could sponsor a center. So Baba seemed to be indicating that there'll be Brahmins who are like very cooperative, but they're not following everything themselves. So they can't really become a king. They're not developing self-sovereignty in that way, but they're sponsoring Baba's service. So then maybe just like here, you see very wealthy people, very wealthy subjects. They're like kings. Like, you know, who can question them? They got their own mansions and their thing. They can do what they like. They can. Many of them own their own islands, don't they? And they just go. And in the golden age, you don't need to own anything. You just go underway. Like, but so that's my take on it. Does that answer? So these are my thoughts. You got to all qualify it. Might not be right. Let's see what that is. But that's piecing together my thought. Would anyone like to come in and add anything or ask anything further? Yeah, I think I answered that point in the chat. Thanks for the question. Okay, so let's move into our main topic of today. How do we build this chart of 8 hours? So I think I'm going to hand it over to Ranjabek. She's here now, because the morally that she's chosen is so clear that almost I'm wondering whether we'll be left with any questions afterwards. So let's hear the morally, and then you can come back in with your reflection.
Om Shanti. Good morning to all.
Om Shanti.
Well, this is the Murli, like I said last week, that Baba has made it so clear and so simple for us. You know, Baba often says, I don't give you any trouble. And so this Murli is important because our day starts with Amrit Vela, and also lot of those who have practiced this, you know, were saying that they benefited a lot, because there's always a question how about Amrit Vela, I can't get up, and or what thoughts to keep. So Baba has throughout the day. So Baba has explained and clarified and made it so simple for us. And Judy Ben last week was asking how to have 8 hours. So it's good, we all will benefit. And so this is the Avyakt Bhaktada. The Murli date is 31st December 1970, 31/12/1970. Baba says, in order to attain both rights, world benefactor, self-ruler, and ruler of the future world, you specially need the power to transform the self. So a month ago, I think we had that Murli of self-sovereignty first, but today, so in that, and so Baba says we need transformation for all this dharana. So in order to attain both rights, world benefactor, self-ruler, and ruler of the future world, you specially need the power to transform the self. Today, Baplada is seeing the rulers of the world of the present and the future. That is, he is seeing the children in the form of them being the world benefactors, and also the ones who have a right to the kingdom of the world. To the extent that you become a world benefactor, accordingly, you become one who has a right to the kingdom of the world. In order to attain both these rights, you specially need the power. Remember what Baba said above? Which power? To transform the self from Amrit Vela until the night. Use the power of transformation in your activities. The first transformation, as soon as you open your eyes, I am not this body, but I am a soul. This is the thought of transformation of the beginning of the day. The timetable for the whole day is based on this first thought. If you do not transform your first thought, then throughout the whole day, you will not be able to, underline, you will not be able to be successful in your own self-transformation. Sorry, you will not be able to be successful. I'm so sorry, I'll have to read it again. If you do not transform your first thought, then throughout the whole day, you will not be able to be successful in your own self-sovereignty or in bringing about world benefit. Use the power of transformation from the first moment of the day. So, do you remember what Baba said? I'm not this body, first thought, but I am a soul. So that is first transformation. Use the power of transformation. Just as deity souls, Sato Pradhan souls, come from the Brahm element and enter a part, means incarnate, at the beginning of the world. That is us when we first come into the Satyug in Golden Age. So Baba says, just as deity souls, Sato Pradhan souls, come from the Brahm element and enter a part, to play a part, to incarnate at the beginning of the world. In the same way, Amrit Vela is the first moment of the day every day. Therefore, in this first moment of the day, as soon as you wake up, the first thought you should remember is, I, the Brahmin soul, have incarnated in order to celebrate a meeting with the Father. This powerful thought will become the basis for elevated thoughts, elevated words, and elevated actions. The first transformation is, who am I? So this foundation is the basis of the power of transformation. So we remember Dadi Janki for this whole world. Who am I? Who do I belong to? What do I have to do? So actually all these original Dadis, they say, these three, they followed all their lives, and that's why they made their angelic stage and became karmatic quickly. And Shailen Bhai often says, a lot of them say, I can't get up, my Amrit Vela is not that accurate. And he always says, it's not negotiable because Baba says that is the beginning. So now, we can not say that Baba hasn't made it easy or very plain, timetable. He's explaining and he's giving us the commentary or the thoughts, which thoughts to keep in order to have regular, accurate Amrit Vela. So Baba says, remember, I, the Brahmin soul, have incarnated in order to celebrate a meeting with the Father. This powerful thought will become the basis for elevated thoughts, elevated words, and elevated actions. That first transformation is, who am I? So this foundation is the basis of the power of transformation. So after this, the second transformation, to whom do I belong? With whom do I have all relationships? From whom do I receive all attainments? So who do I belong? With whom do I have all relationships? From whom do I receive all attainments? First of all, there is the transformation of the body, and then the transformation of the relationships of the body. And then, on the basis of relationships, there is the transformation of attainments. This transformation is called easy, natural remembrance. So you can claim all rights from the very beginning on the basis of the power of transformation. Then Baba says, after Amrit Vela, whilst carrying out all your physical activities through the body, which transformation is necessary, through which you can become a constant, easy yogi. So first Baba said, easy, natural remembrance. Now for the body, when we have our shower or we're getting ready for the class, this is what Baba is explaining. So after Amrit Vela, whilst carrying out all your physical activities through the body, which transformation is necessary, through which you can become a constant, easy yogi. Always have the thought, I am a living, most elevated idol. Not idol, not doing anything, but an idol. And this is a temple. So as Baba said, first I'm an incarnation of deities, and now idol. This body is my temple. Always have the thought, I am a living, most elevated idol, and this is a temple. This body is the living temple of this living idol, and I am decorating the temple. So decorate all the senses and the sense organs with pure thoughts. Bap Dada's most beloved idol is seated in this temple. And Bap Dada himself remembers the rosary of the virtues of this idol. So when you have a temple or whatever in your house, in every Hindu, like Gujarat, they keep a physical, I'm talking about the devotees, they keep temples and every morning they bathe it and decorate it. But Baba is teaching us to decorate ourselves with virtues. And even if Bap Dada's most beloved idol is seated in this temple. And Bap Dada himself remembers the rosary of the virtues of this idol. Bap Dada himself praises this idol. That is me, elevated soul. This is a special temple of such a special idol. To the extent that an idol is valuable, accordingly, on the basis of the idol, the temple also becomes valuable. So, what is the transformation you have to bring about? not my body, but this is the temple of Bap Dada's valuable idol. You yourself are the idol, means elevated soul, and this body is a temple. And you must continue to decorate the temple as the trustee of the temple. On the basis of this transforming thought, the consciousness of mind, that is body consciousness, will be transformed. After this, always have the form of your being a godly student in your consciousness. What is the special transforming thought you need for this? Today, Baba mentioned that even if you look at the dharana points, Baba said you are in one godly service, you are a godly student. So Baba is asking that what is the special transforming thought you need for this? A thought through which the study of every second and the dharana of every invaluable word create an elevated reward for the present and the future. For this, you constantly need the transforming thought. I am not an ordinary student, and this is not an ordinary study, but Baba comes from the faraway land to teach me directly. The versions of God are my study. The elevated directions of the one who is doubly elevated are our study. And every word of this study is one that enables me to earn an income of multi-millions. So are you sitting in this awareness? Because I always say, have Baba giving us extra tuition, my friend, my sister, whoever you enjoy studying with is with me, and I'm inculcated. Even now, even at this moment, Baba is with us. So Baba gave us a lot of nice points for intoxication of being God's child and, pure intoxication, not arrogance, but pure Baba's child and godly student. And it's very befitting with this today's Murli, Sakar Murli we had about being world benefactor as well. If you do not imbibe even just one word, then you have not missed just a word, but you have missed out on earning an income of multi-millions and on an elevated reward for many births and on attaining an elevated status. So it's such a big, huge loss. If Baba says, you haven't missed one word, but so much, multi-millions. You should have the transforming thought. God is speaking and I am listening to him. Baba, in the form of the teacher, has come for me. I am a special, beloved student. This is why Baba has come for me. Where has he come from? Who has come? And what is he teaching? Imbibe these elevated, transforming thoughts at the time of class every morning and then study. This is not an ordinary class. Do not see the person who is relating the words to you, but remember whose words they are. Keep that one in front of you. See the incorporeal Father and the Avyakt Father in the corporeal form. So do you understand what transformation you have to bring about? Now Baba says, let us go further. We have studied the study. What do we have to do now? Now we come to the part of service. In service, whatever type of service it is, whether of the household or your interaction with others or godly service. So Baba is saying, whether it is your household and your lokic relations, or whether they are relationships on the basis of karmic bondages, whilst doing service in the household, have the transformative thought, I am now living a life where I have died alive. That is, lokic karmic bondages have now finished. So Baba is talking to probably most of the mothers in the household, even fathers and others, but shall I read this again? That is the karmic bondages in the household, and Baba has given us the transformative thought, I am now living a life where I have died alive. That is, lokic karmic bondages have now finished. See, this affirmative, positive thoughts, that lokic karmic bondages have now finished. Do not continue to move along whilst considering them to be karmic bondages. You have become tied in that bondage by thinking and saying karmic bondage, karmic bondage. But now, because you are living a life where you have died alive, then according to Srimad, the relationships of lokic karmic bondages become the basis for relationships for service. So Baba is teaching us, they are not karmic bondages, but relationships for service. In relationships for service, if you imbibe the knowledge about the various types of souls and continue to move along whilst considering them to be relationships for service, then you will not be troubled by those bondages. Now Baba says, no matter how sinful a soul may be, how detrimental he may be, do not have feelings of hatred for the stork. Do not have distaste and do not be disrespectful, but do service whilst stabilizing yourself in the stage of being a world benefactor, being merciful and having feelings of compassion. Consider them to be relationships for service. We can't forget these relationships for service. Baba repeated so many times. And today's Avyak signals were about world benefactor, no matter what the soul. And Baba has reminded us again that no matter how sinful a soul may be, how detrimental he may be, do not have feelings of hatred for the storks. Do not have distaste and do not be disrespectful, but do service whilst stabilizing yourself in the state of being a world benefactor, being merciful and having feelings of compassion. Consider them to be relationships for service. To the extent that you serve hopeless cases, accordingly, you will claim a right to as many prizes. You will be remembered as the famous world benefactors. You will claim the prize of being a peacemaker. So Dadi Prakashmani won that many years, few years.
And Baba's referring to brothers and sisters who live with people who are not BKs. And he's saying that, you see, Brahmins can develop some low self-esteem and think, oh, maybe it's not my part in the drama to become a king, to become a queen. And this is why I've got all these karmic accounts. I have to live with people who are always troubling me. They're creating distress in my life. They're putting obstacles in my life. Maybe it's not my part in the drama. And Chit is reassuring us. He's saying that if you have more adversity in your life, actually you can claim different blessings from Baba. So Baba would look at how many difficulties you had. And for example, there are Brahmins who are dealing with relatives with mental health issues. Others are caring for people with multiple disabilities. Some are caring for people with addictions. There are Brahmins who have their own health issues. Others with financial. There are some Brahmins who are earning money for so many members of their family. And so there's many different karmic situations for Brahmins. And it would be easier if you just lived in a center. You didn't have to think about anything else. So Baba's reassuring everyone. He's saying that Baba knows that you're in a difficult circumstance. So actually, if you can implement Baba's teachings in that difficult circumstance, Baba was going to give you some bonus marks. He's going to give you some different qualifications, different blessings. And one of the main things, if you're in the middle of family conflicts, if you can be the peacemaker and you can begin playing that role, and the peacemaker is not necessarily as we understand it in the Lokik world, but just being peaceful, that's a peacemaker. So if you can tolerate, accommodate, adjust, merge, and reach a point where your peace, your purity, your joy is so deep that it can't be disturbed anymore, then you are ever ready. Someone could be living in Madhuban, living in a center, but they're not tested in the same way. So their peace might not be as deep. And this is why Baba would give you the certificate. In the middle of your karmic accounts, you are the peacemaker. Do you remember the other day in the Murali? Baba said, there are some where he sits them on the boat and he just takes them across as the boatman. But then Baba also teaches children how to swim within the ocean of poison. Baba also teaches you how to fight on the battlefield. So Baba is aware that there are different children in different circumstances, and he is going to equip you, and you just have to get ready and make your peace very deep. Lady Jen used to talk about this. She would test herself to see how deep is my peace. Can it be disturbed by someone? Thank you.
So Baba is saying, so whilst in a household instead of karmic bondages, they are relationships for service. Have this transformative thought, but whilst doing service, do not have any attachment. So Baba says, remain detached observer, but with that, no attachment. So do not have any attachment. Sometimes even doctors become attached to their patients. So Baba is giving example of doctors that sometimes they even get attached to their patients. Relationships for service means those who have the form of being a tyagi, a renunciate, and a tapasvi, one engaged in deep meditation. So, relationships for service means those who have the form of being a tyagi. T-Y-A-A-G-I. Tyagi means renunciate. And a tapasvi, T-A-P-A-S-W-I, tapasvi is one engaged in deep meditation. The qualifications of a true servant are renunciation and tapasya, intense yoga. So those are the qualifications for true servers. In the same way, when interacting with someone, you do that according to the directions for the livelihood of the body. But the main basis should be for the livelihood of the soul. So Baba now is teaching us, even whilst when interacting with someone, do that according to the directions for the livelihood of the body. But the main basis should be for the livelihood of the soul. Baba says, do not forget the livelihood of the soul because of the livelihood of the body. Whilst interacting with everyone, there should be the balance between the livelihood of the soul and the livelihood of the body. So remember last week's Murli we read about 3 lights, soul, eyes, and soul, even that practice. Baba says, otherwise, the interaction with others will become Baba is cautioning us as a teacher, our supreme teacher is cautioning us now. Otherwise, the interaction with others will become a net of Maya. The more you spread such a net, the more you will be trapped in it. Whilst increasing your wealth, you should not forget the method of remembrance. The method of remembrance and the increase of wealth should both go together.
This morning, Baba was saying that it's okay to run a business, but also remember Baba. And what Baba is pointing out is that sometimes we can do jobs which actually take too much of us. And Daddy Janki used to be quite keen that Brahmins don't start businesses. Like, it's different if you already have a business, okay. But don't start businesses, because those of you that have run businesses, you know that it consumes you, usually. It depends on the business. I mean, sometimes I ran a business which suited me just working half-time. So you can have lifestyle businesses as well. But where it's a business which just is consuming you, but that would be the same even with a job that consumes you. As Brahmins, we have to think, should I really be doing this? Because you have to be fresh from Ritveda. You have to be fresh from morally. So if it means that you have to earn a little bit less money, then that's better because you've got to earn imperishable jewels. You have to accumulate imperishable wealth, not just physical wealth.
The method of remembrance and the increase of wealth should both go together. Do not leave aside the method because of increasing your wealth. This is called the transformation from lokic physical karma into the stage of being a karma yogi. So difference between physical karma and karma yogi. Baba is in the inverted commas. Baba is teaching us how the consciousness. I am a combined form of interacting with others and doing it for the sake of God. If you have this transforming thought constantly in your consciousness, then your mind and body will continue to earn a double income. So Baba has used the word double income, that I am a combined form of interacting with others and doing it for the sake of God. If you have this transforming thought constantly in your consciousness, constantly, then your mind and body will continue to earn a double income. You will continue to receive physical wealth and also continue to accumulate the imperishable wealth through the mind. At one moment, through the one body, you will be able to earn a double income through the mind and the body. So constantly remember that you are one who earns a double income. In this, Baba says, in this godly service, constantly think about the mantra of being an instrument and have the consciousness of Karanhar, the one who does everything. So I, the soul, am Karanhar, Karanhar, the one who does everything. You must not forget Karavanhar. Karavanhar. Karavanhar, the one who gets everything done through others. So it is actually one word, but Baba has broken it down for us to understand. So as an instrument, I am, so it is Karavanhar, is one word. So I am Karanhar as an instrument, and Karavanhar is Baba, one who gets everything done through others. Then in service, you will constantly be constructive. So the benefit is, in service, you will constantly be constructive with this instrument, the conscious of instrument, but also for you are, the soul is Karavanhar when it comes to your mind, intellect, and your senses. Then the soul is the king and gets things done as a Raja, king, through mind, and that's when the soul is Karavanhar. But still the consciousness of being an instrument, and don't forget the supreme Karavanhar, that Baba is with me as a Karavanhar as well. So, Acha, now we move a little further. You come into connection with many types of people. So throughout the day, we meet a lot of people, Baba says. So now we move a little further. You come into connection with many types of people as well as things and material comforts. In this also, instead of having corporeal feelings for people, imbibe feelings for the soul. Imbibe an attitude that is free from attraction to things and material comforts. So it is imbibing the attitude that is free from attraction to things and material comforts. The things and material comforts will then serve as the servants of those who have an attitude free from being attracted. But they will trap those who are attracted to such things like a magnet. Then you will not be able to become free even if you wish to. Therefore, in connection with things and material comforts, transfer that into feelings of the soul and an attitude free from being attracted. So Baba often plays with the words sadhan and sadhana. Sadhan is material comforts, material things, and sadhana is our intense yoga, intense efforts. So that's why Baba is cautioning us, because then you won't be able to, this is what will happen if you don't have that attitude. Baba says, so therefore, in connection with things and material comforts, transform that into feelings of the soul and an attitude free from being attracted. Now Baba says, go even further. When you use or see any beautiful instruments of the old world for temporary happiness, you become influenced by those instruments. If your
Means facility.
facility,
Sadhana.
yeah,
Yes, sadhana.
means facilities. If your sadhana, spiritual endeavor, is based on the sadhana, instruments,
Facility.
or physical facilities, all types of machinery, facilities, everything. So if your sadhana, sadhana, spiritual endeavor, is based on the sadhana, instruments or facilities, you should consider it to be like a building built on a foundation of sand, means sand castle. You know how we play on the beach, sand castle, when we go for the seaside and for picnics or seaside. So we build sand castles. So if we don't pay attention to this, then what will the state, you should consider it to be like a building built on a foundation of sand. What will the state of that be? Whenever there is an upheaval, it will fluctuate again and again. When it collapses, it will be destroyed. Therefore, bring about the transformation of the instruments being perishable and your spiritual endeavor being imperishable. You cannot have imperishable spiritual endeavor based on perishable instruments or facilities. The instruments are just to be used for the name's sake, but it is your spiritual endeavor that is the basis of construction. So do not give importance to the instruments or facilities, but instead give importance to the spiritual endeavor. Now, Baba says, always have the consciousness that you are the embodiment of success, not the embodiment of the instruments or facilities. Spiritual endeavor will enable you to attain success. Do not forget being the embodiment of success by being attracted to the instruments or facilities, whilst seeing all the lokic things, whilst listening to all the lokic things, and whilst seeing all the lokic sins, transform the lokic into the alokik. That is, be the embodiment of knowledge and take the aspects of knowledge from them. So alokik, you might want to explain.
Spiritual, I think it's clear.
It's clear, isn't it? Yeah. So Baba has pointed out that we can do that by, transform the lokik into the alokik. That is, be the embodiment of knowledge and take the aspects of knowledge from them. Do not engross yourself in those things, but go into the depth of the knowledge in them. So do you understand what transformation you have to bring about? Acha, now go even further. So by that it's late evening, or it's actually bedtime, late evening. Acha, now go even further. What else now remains? Now your sona. So in Hindi, sona means sleeping, as well as another meaning is gold. So it has two meanings. So Baba is using those words here. And so,
There's also the health therapy sauna.
yeah. But, so Baba is saying, Acha, now go even further. What else now remains? Now your sona, S-O-N-A, means sleeping, going to bed at night, still remains. Sona means to go to sleep in the sona, means world, means sona here means golden world. So it is the same word, but two meanings. At night, going to bed, going to sleep, before you go to sleep, have this consciousness means to go to sleep in the golden world. But now transform your way of sleeping. Do not sleep on your bed. So where will you sleep instead? Baba has questioned it to us. You will sleep, then answered Baba gives, you will sleep in the lap of Baba's remembrance. So it's Baba's lap is our remembrance, and in the world of angels. So go to sleep in the lap of Baba's remembrance and in the world of angels. Tour around in your dreams. Transform your dreams and also transform your sleeping. Change everything from the beginning to the end. Do you understand how you have to use the power of transformation? This year's gift is the power of transformation, self-transformation and world transformation. It is with the lift of this gift that you will bring world transformation close. Everyone gives greetings for the new year, but Bap Dada is giving you greetings for the new year in advance to constantly bring about a newness in the intensity of your effort. Remember the date of the Murli? 31st December 1970. The next day is the new year, January. But it's amazing how we have this Diwali, and then now the very next day we have a new year. So now nobody can forget this. So Baba says, congratulations for the newness of the new year, for the new sanskars and new nature, new zeal and enthusiasm, for having an elevated thought of making the world new, and for constantly having the elevated thought of giving everyone the blessing of mukti and Jivan Mukti. Congratulations for saying goodbye to the old sanskars, the old behavior, the old supports, and everything of the old. Acha? So Baba has in advance congratulated all of us. Baba is giving us the blessing. He's saying, giving us yad pyar and blessing to those who bring about world transformation through their own transformation with the power of transformation, through their every karma, to those who make every second, every thought, and every action new, that is golden aged, to those who make it elevated and satopradhan, to those who show a new miracle in the self. So miracle in the self and in the world, in the new year, to those who make that which is even now considered impossible for the self and the world easily possible. To such souls who are constantly the embodiment of success, to such elevated souls who have the attainment of all success, love, remembrances, and namaste from Bap Dada. Okay, I think I'll end, finish here because there is a group meeting. We might touch on that some other time. But it's a really a nice moody for the time, don't you think? And
Yeah, so we got so many methods to improve our child of remembrance. Would anyone like to come in? Or do you want to share anything else?
well, later on I was going to share this blessing and all, but let everybody
No, yeah.
end up.
Which one is it?
That's a nice blessing I
You
got
want to do
when
it
I
at
met Daddy. I wanted last week.
At the end, yeah. Do it
Yeah.
at the end.
So in the
Remember.
end, because last week, but only one thing that Baba said about golden age, new sanskar. And I remember last Sunday's Murli was about royalty, wasn't it? Royal sanskars, wasn't it? So we can, you can just revise that with this or what sanskars or something. I thought will be good. And we shared that. And I had actually, I thought since it's Diwali, I was going to chosen Murli from 1969, first Diwali, Avyak Bapdada spoke. That's a lovely, but that will be another time. This was good,
Next week we can do a Diwali Moral.
Yeah.
Would anyone like to come in with their reflections?
Shanti, brother. This Murli is a Murli that is worth reading over and over again because it gives so much points for your self-progress. What I like best is that when you live in a household, don't think of the people you're serving as your local relatives. Look at them as people you're here to serve through God. And that had a big impact. Although in my own mind, that's how I have been living and looking at things, but to hear it directly like this gives confirmation of your own thoughts about things. And the points that he gave, it as like everything you need to for self-progress. It is a powerful Murli. Thank you for reading that, sister. I think you had me in mind when you did that, when you chose that. Thank you.
Yeah, Ranjan has always loved this Murli. We've reread this Murli about 100 times, but I was thinking as I was hearing it that I should get the copy and put it in the WhatsApp group for everyone, because I agree with you. I think this is a Murli that everyone needs to have with them. And you can then just remind yourself what are the different awarenesses to keep. Thanks.
It would be beautiful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. But as you said, it really is a Murli that has everything in it. And Baba is giving you the meta so that every second of your day or your waking hours, even for your sleeping as well, Baba tells you the consciousness that has to be throughout your day. And transformation of the self is the only way world transformation can happen. And is when he says, there's a book, Amrit Vela, and this Murli also, and I guess they would have taken excerpts from Baba's Murli for that Amrit Vela book. I always remember where it says for Amrit Vela, when you wake up, that I'm now coming from Paramdam. And it's in that consciousness. So I'm a new soul, it's a new age. And that consciousness, you sit with Baba. And then this study, you know, who is teaching me? Who has come from so far away to teach me? And sometimes when I listen to Murli, sometimes I do wonder. Depends on who is reading the Murli, but I try to get back. It is whose Murli? It is Baba's Murli. And I often for the Sakar Murli visualize history hall, you know, that Brahma Baba is there reading this Murli or saying this Murli. So it really comes down to this total awareness, keeping the awareness, keeping this the consciousness that I'm not an ordinary soul. Sometimes when I'm going through any little difficulty or obstacles, that is what I tell myself, you know, you're not an ordinary soul. And a big deal for me has always been not to bring defamation to Baba, not to bring defamation to the Yagya. So those consciousness has helped me, and this Murli really step by step gives you all the type of consciousness to have throughout the day. I think Om Shanti.
Yeah.
Baba has made it so simple, given us the timetable, so nobody can say, because it's very important. Baba says the beginning to the night.
Shanti. Yes, yes, very powerful, Murray. I've heard it a couple of times, but it's also refreshing to hear it this morning and to reinforce what our role in terms of carrying out the establishment, and appreciation for the role that Brahma Baba played, and Baba being the teacher, father teacher in Satguru, but as a teacher, you know, he had that. Baba is teaching us by example. Brahma Baba never had that anyone to look at, but we are so fortunate to have so many examples, Baba and the daddy. Thank you, Om Shanti.
Om Shanti, thanks. Maria Ben, did you want to come in? I can see you on the screen. Nice to see you. Oh, sorry, Maria Ben, we can't hear you. You might need to. I know you've unmuted, but we still can't hear you. Yeah, no, we can't hear you, I'm afraid. So sorry about that. We have a vision of your bright, shining, glowing face, but we can't hear you. Yeah, sorry, sister, we can't hear you. The only thing I can think of is you come out and come in again, and sometimes then the sound comes back again. Sorry about that. You'll have to share with us next time, or if you come out and come in, try it again. That could work. So,
It's outside somewhere. I can see a block of flats and a tree.
yes, we're gaining a vision of the location as well.
Mm.
We've got a very clear picture of you, sister, but unfortunately we can't hear you. So just maybe to sum up, then, hearing the morally, what Baba seems to be pointing out to us is that we are influenced the whole day. If we examine ourselves as a detached observer, our consciousness is not consistent from the beginning of the day until the end of the day. And Baba is saying that first thing that could influence you is the subconscious thoughts you've had during the night. And if you just wake up carrying on those thoughts, then actually it's not a good foundation for your whole day. So what you want to do is transform. Remembrance is really transforming. So first of all, transform that thought. Then we know from Baba's moralities that sitting at Amrit Vela is vital. And so again, transform that. Don't think you're remembering Baba. Think you're meeting Baba. Baba's coming to meet you. And then Ambika Ben's already mentioned about Murali time. And then in the daytime, we get influenced mainly by relations. So we're influenced by knowledge. So that's why during Murali time, we're filling ourselves. We need to hear the Murali in the morning. I know that for some Brahmins, for some reasons, they might hear the Murali later in the day or attend class in the evening. But I'd feel that at least read some knowledge in the morning. You know, I think that it is important to have the nourishment of Baba's Murali in the morning, even if you don't have time to attend the full class. Some of it would be helpful. Lady Jenki used to tell me that she would read a little bit of the Murali before Amrit Vela, actually. She found it helpful, feed her mind before she sat for Amrit Vela yoga. So you might even want to do that. Then in the daytime, we're influenced by work, actions, duties. That could be like a job, it could be a family type of service. Baba used the word service for everything. So it could be service in your family, service directly for Baba, or it can be other situations. But he said actions and duties influence you, transform your awareness. Then the next thing that influences you is relationships. Transform them. Transform your vision, your attitude, your awareness. So, and then in the evening time, oh yes, before then in the morning, we get influenced by our own body and bodily needs. So Baba said, consider it to be a temple. Remember, think of yourself as an idol sitting in a temple. And so we spend a lot of our day looking after our body. But Baba is saying, transform that. Then we get influenced by relationships. There's a transform that. Then in the evening, could be tiredness, sleep. Transform that. So as we hear the narrative of this Murali, we're learning all these different influences that Baba's observing on our consciousness. And he's saying, become a self-sovereign. And you can't control people, you can't control circumstances. The drama is the drama. But what can you control? You can control your thoughts. You can control your feelings. You can control your attitudes. You can control your vision. You can control your responses. So transform those things and see what happens. Make them elevated. See what happens after that. So let's work on that. And this is how we develop our 8 hours. But I think Baba wants us to move towards constant yoga. So I think 8 hours is, you know, it's like a number. It's like a sort of marker on the journey. And then my understanding is that out of constant yoga, we have to reach a point where we got 8 hours of very concentrated yoga. So our first step is to develop this chart that we're staying in yoga through the day. Then Baba wants us to move even further so that we're saving a lot of the energy. If we're transforming through the day, we're saving a lot of energy in our thoughts, in our feelings. So then when we have concentrated yoga and when we're sitting down with Baba, it can become something which Baba calls volcanic yoga, Jwalamukhi yoga. Okay. And my understanding is we got to reach a point where we got 8 hours Jwalamukhi yoga, volcanic yoga, within a chart of constant yoga. And when I looked at people like Daddy Janki, Daddy Gulzar, I met Daddy Janki 2 or 3 times every year the last few years when she was visiting London, meaning I met her every day 2 or 3 times a year. And my experience, my observation was a soul who's had constant yoga over many decades, but then also had this 8 hours of volcanic yoga over a long period of time inside a stage of constant yoga. And so then the energy that they generate is very, very powerful, very transformative. So first steps, let's transform, let's build our chart. Let's eliminate the waste. And then we can take it further from there. Okay, so shall we stop? You wanted to
Yeah,
read your blessing?
I'll read it next week. But one more thing, when I was reading about the temple and all, so Baba is saying that don't be attracted to anybody's body or anything, because this body is valuable because of Baba, because of Sangam Yug, to the conference. And that's why the value of this body is so, look after it, not get trapped in it, but look after it. And because Baba said that it's through this body, no matter what it was like, that you got Baba's knowledge. Baba chose you, and Baba gave you this knowledge, and through that you are able to so make the most and value your body, value everything. And so that's what, when I was reading about body and temple and all that, reminded me of one Avyakt Murli Baba said, value this body so much and look after it. And so it's more important that you, keep just applying the methods and implementing what Baba says and become detached from the body, but at the same time look after that and respect each other. Baba said, be respectful to anybody, everybody, whoever.
Okay, so we wish you all a very happy Diwali and
Happy
a great
Diwali.
week. And we'll probably have a Diwali Morli next Saturday because it's Diwali week, and celebrate those lights. So celebrate with your great light, your great lamp. And let's honor each other's lamp in each other's forehead through the week.
I'm sure you'll see a lot of videos. There's a lot of celebration in Madhuban. So, but sorry, you were saying something.
No, it wasn't.
But real celebration is with Baba and keeping this lamp.
Om Shanti, everyone.
Om
Greetings to all.
Shanti. Happy Diwali.
Happy
Happy
Diwali.
A blessing.
Om Shanti, everyone. Happy Diwali.
Om
Om Shanti. Have a great week, everyone.
Okay.